Hey everybody, this is Kenny. Welcome back to another edition of the Yak with Mac. Today I talk about leadership lessons from the great new movie Top Gun Maverick. You gotta listen in. Hey there everybody, this is Kenny. This is another edition of the Yak with Mac. Riding solo today, and I'm never really that happy riding solo, by the way. You guys know I love talking to other leaders, and I've got some great leaders coming up on the way, but kind of in between. There was a topic I really wanted to talk about that I hope a lot of you will resonate with. And so it is great to be back almost to some semblance of normal, and part of that semblance of normal is that we're able to actually go to the movies again. I know we've gone to the movies probably for the last year or so. Some movie theaters have still required you to have your mask on a year ago or so, but now it's fine. It's all or off. But what's really more important is that there are now big blockbuster movies that are not going straight to home video, which is really nice, really convenient. But there are just certain movies that you want to experience in the theater and have that experience of going actually to the movies. I frankly was concerned about the future of the movie theater over the last few years and through COVID, but it looks like we're going to survive. And one of the things that has happened early in this summer movie season, which usually starts Memorial Day weekend, was the movie Top Gun Maverick came out. And oh my gosh, everyone went to see it. So if you have not seen it yet, I'm not going to have any spoilers here, but if you don't want to hear anything about the movie, I would invite you to shut this podcast off now and then watch it again after you see the movie. I promise I won't give any spoilers though. But if you don't want to hear anything about it, don't do it. Just shut it off right now. I will say this. The eccentric genius that Tom Cruise is. He was very adamant. This movie was made a couple of years ago and it was ready to come out a couple of years ago, and then COVID hit and he held on to it, held on to it, held on to it. He said, this is a movie that needs to be experienced in the theaters. And I have to tell you, oh my gosh, was he right? 36 years later, after the original, 1986 was the first Top Gun. I can remember as a young pup, I wasn't that young, I was in my 20s, I went to see Top Gun, and I thought at the time it was eh. But one of the things I thought was great about it was the music. I've told a few people this. One of the best soundtracks I think ever. Kenny Loggins in Danger Zone, Berlin and Take My Breath Away, one of the greatest songs, in my opinion, of all time. Song went to #1, stayed there a couple of weeks. There were a few other songs from that soundtrack. I just thought that that soundtrack was great. And boy, oh boy, I got to say, man, I stood up in the theater, and I sat back down, realizing what I did. When Danger Zone was played in this one, the Lady Gaga song for this movie is great. They didn't play the Berlin song, but they did play about a minute or so of Danger Zone. I was like, oh yeah, I have to tell you, 5 out of 5 on this movie. I thought it was just a spectacular movie, great effects. A friend of mine said great cinematography. He knows a little bit more about that stuff than I do. And so, yes, all those things. And it is a movie that should be experienced in the theaters. You'll enjoy it at home as well. But if you went to a theater, got some popcorn, and you watched it, you really enjoyed it. But you know how I watched it, right? You know where I'm going to go. Anybody that's watched me for even just a second, you know where I'm going to go. This got me thinking about leadership. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, there's some leadership lessons here. And so I've jotted down 4 leadership lessons that I got from Top Gun Maverick. Again, I'm not going to reveal any plots or anything like that. Go see the movie if you haven't already. For those of you who have, you're going to get what I'm talking about here. So leadership lesson #1, go back to the Disney movie, Let It Go. Let it go, let it go, right? I think it's the only words I know from that song. But let it go, Maverick, the character for Tom Cruise, he had such a tough time letting go of things that had happened in the past. And some really bad things had happened to him in the past on some missions, and he just could not let it go. And now, all these years later, he's in a position of running his own team, kind of coming back to it, right? He hadn't done it in a while, running his own team. And this is not where you can make mistakes. See, in our jobs every day, we can make a mistake and kind of move on, correct it. But in that job where you make a mistake, man, it could be life or death, right? If you're in the Navy and you're that pilot, it's unbelievable. But there's a scene that he, again, not going to reveal anything, but there's a scene that he is with the Val Kilmer character where Val Kilmer is just sensing that Maverick is holding on to all these things from the past, preventing him from being the leader that he should be. And he tells him simply, man, let it go. Let go of the past. Leaders, we need to let go and forget. We need to remember to forget. We have to have short memories as a leader. Successful leaders have short memories. Successful leaders, while we may not think it sometimes, have made a lot of mistakes in their past. Do they continue to make the same ones? Probably not. That's why they're successful, right? But they have this knack of being able to let it go and move on, still learn lessons from it, but move on. In Maverick's case, some of these mistakes that he made was over 30 years ago, and he's still holding on to it. And thus, that was holding him back from being the leader that he needed to be. Sometimes we need to hear that from someone else. In his case, he needed to hear it from his friend, the Val Kilmer character. Okay, second one that I thought was just a great leadership lesson, and I'm going to quote another Tom Cruise movie here, and that was sometimes mission impossible, or what seems like is mission impossible, can be possible. And you as a leader have to be able to paint that picture for your team that what we've been tasked to do, while it seems impossible right now, it can be possible, and here's how. Again, not going to reveal anything from the movie, but the mission that the Tom Cruise's team is given seems impossible. You're sitting there watching a movie, you're like, there's no way they're going to be able to do this. Yet he really gets to that point once he's able to let some things go, right? He gets to that point where he paints a picture for them. This can definitely be executed, and here's how. I thought about that. I thought about that. I thought about that. I thought about that because the team obviously was, what if this happens? What is that? What if that happens? So I don't know that his character totally believed that he could do it, or that the team could actually do that really impossible mission. However, he made them believe that they could. But he backed up that inspiration with some execution, right? With a plan, with a great plan for execution. And so that could be so, so, so important as well. Example I'll use is from my district manager days. I can remember sometimes, man, getting quotas, usually like December. December quota was like just unbelievable, right? And I would look at this before I would send it to my team, and I would say, there's no way we're hitting this. Okay, let me sit down. And I would lay out exactly how many activations we needed to do every day. I even, I took this from a fellow peer DM of mine. I even started to break that down to how many we needed to do an hour to hit this. And then I was like, okay, that's not too bad. When we looked at that overall huge number for the month, we're like, oh, there's no way. We're none of us are going to make it. We're not going to make any money. But then when I looked at that and I started to break it down, and then by the time I did that, I was able to explain it to my team and inspire them, but also with a plan. Hey, we're going to attack this place over here. We're going to have an event over here. We're going to do all these different things. And next thing you know, it's towards the end of the month. And not only did we hit the number, we crushed it. So, and I'm sure all of you can understand and have been there, whether you're in sales or not, that you get these goals that sometimes like, wait a minute, that's crazy. But then as a leader, you've got to really look at it, and you've got to inspire your team to believe, but that's not enough. You've got to have a plan to it. And Maverick, not only did he inspire his team to believe, he had a plan and he executed it flawlessly. His team executed it flawlessly. Okay, number 3 for me is let go and have some fun. And so this is not going to reveal anything because it's in the first movie. The first movie, there's a famous scene of them playing football on a beach. Well, this is a little bit of a spoiler alert. They do it again in the second movie, but it's very strategic this time, right? He does it for a specific purpose. There's some team building that happens there. There's some rapport building that happens there. But because they had been working so hard, they were so tense, they just let it go again and they got out there and they had some fun and they team built. And then the next time they were back together in the workspace, it was just fantastic. COVID has kind of stopped that a little bit for us in terms of getting together in person and having those in person meetings where you could do team builders and stuff like that. Hopefully, that day is coming again soon. But the other really important part of being able to do that is you let your hair down and you let your team see who you really are outside of the office. That is so, so, so important. I can remember a lot of times being in meetings, usually out in Overland Park, Kansas, or it could be other cities. Later in my career, a few years ago, sometimes we'd be up in Boston somewhere, sometimes in New York City, and our brains would be fried by like 4 or 5 o'clock, but yet we knew we still had some work to do, and we're trying to discuss things, and we're like, you know what, we're not getting anything done tonight. Let's go have some fun. Let's go have some dinner. Let's just relax and enjoy each other's company for the rest of the night, and let's regroup, get a good night's sleep, and come back tomorrow. And once we got out together with each other and we started talking about other things, sports, whatever, then we were able to really come back that next day and our heads were clear, our spaces were clear. Hey, remember last night and we had a few laughs, and then we're able to really get the job done. So sometimes you just have to figure out that time where you can let things go and have some fun in the proper way, of course. All right, my last lesson from Top Gun Maverick, and this is a biggie. Again, not going to reveal anything that wasn't revealed mostly in the first one, but this was an important one because unfortunately, I know a lot of people in my career, in my personal life, that overthink things. It's rare that I overthink things. Sometimes I do, but and usually I like to. Sometimes I'll say, "Hey, let me sleep on it." I do like to, pick it apart, give myself some time, especially if it's an important decision. But a lot of times, things are right there in your face. It's simple, and you just got to go with it. You just got to go with it. And so there's a couple of times where the line is said in the movie, "Don't think, just do." And in that space, that was so important, right? If you're a fighter pilot and you're, should I do? Nope. Hey, just do. What is your instinct telling you to do? What is your experience telling you to do? Just do. Don't think, just do. I think that is such a great lesson for leaders, but particularly leaders that might tend to overthink at times. Again, and I'll raise my hand. Sometimes I've fallen into that category. So that was inspirational for me to see that. All right, so let me recap. 4 leadership lessons from Top Gun Maverick that I took up from it. I'm sure there's more. I'm sure probably you have some yourself. If you are into the art of leadership, you're going to watch this movie through a little bit of a different lens and pick some of those things up as well as I did. I'm sitting there in the theater and I wish I had had something to take notes on, I didn't want to turn my phone off because that's really rude, right? When somebody turns their phone on and it's all bright and everybody's trying to enjoy the movie and it's dark. But anyway, I digress. Let it go. Let it go. The mistakes you made in the past, they're done. They're over with. Let it go. He had to really come to that realization. And sometimes we need somebody else to tell us that. That mission impossible, it can be possible. Inspire, but plan and execute. Inspire, plan, then execute. His team really did that. Have some fun. Have some fun. Let things go and just have some fun. Have some fun. Clear the space. We all need to clear our heads every once in a while. As a leader, you've got to gauge, hey, when is that time when I need to do that? And then finally, stop overthinking. Don't think, just do, as they said several times in the movie. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I have some great guests lined up for you, so I'll be coming back to you real soon. But for now, this is Kenny. This has been the Yak with Max special Top Gun Maverick edition. I went to the danger zone. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I do that? We will talk to you real soon.